Welcome back, spiritual seeker. Are you ready for this one? At the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries, when the modern world was reeling from industrialization, colonialism, and a growing conflict between science and religion, Swami Vivekananda emerged as a prophetic voice who reintroduced Vedanta philosophy to a global audience. A disciple of the mystic Ramakrishna, Vivekananda carried the wisdom of Advaita Vedanta, the non-dual vision of the Upanishads, beyond India, presenting it in a form that resonated with the modern West. His central teaching was simple yet revolutionary. Every soul is potentially divine, and the purpose of human life is to realize one's identity with Brahman, the infinite consciousness. Unlike many reformers of his time, Vivekananda spoke with authority both as a mystic and a modern thinker, declaring that spiritual realization is not confined to monks or mystics, but is the birthright of all humanity. The life and mission of Vivekananda. Born in Calcutta in 1863 as Narendranath Datta, Vivekananda was educated in philosophy and the sciences, embodying the new India caught between tradition and modernity. His meeting with Sri Ramakrishna, the temple priest and mystic, transformed him. Ramakrishna convinced him through direct experience that God is real, that consciousness is the essence of existence, and that all religions are valid paths to the same truth. After Ramakrishna's death, Vivekananda traveled across India as a wandering monk, witnessing the poverty and suffering of the people. This experience deepened his conviction that spirituality must empower humanity, not withdraw from the world. In 1893, at the Parliament of World Religions in Chicago, his opening words, "Sisters and Brothers of America," electrified audiences and marked the beginning of his mission to bring Vedanta's universal vision to the modern West. The soul's potential divinity. At the core of Vivekananda's teaching is the conviction that every soul is potentially divine. This was not a poetic metaphor, but the foundation of his Vedantic vision. He rejected the idea of original sin or human worthlessness, insisting instead that the essence of every person is already divine, covered only by ignorance. To realize this is liberation, not the attainment of something new, but the uncovering of what has always been true. For Vivekananda, education, meditation, and service were all means of awakening this inner divinity. In affirming the sacredness of every human being, he offered not only a philosophy of consciousness, but also a revolutionary vision of dignity, equality, and empowerment for a world divided by caste, class, and creed. Brahman as universal consciousness. Drawing on Advaita Vedanta, Vivekananda taught that Brahman is the infinite, formless ground of reality, pure consciousness that underlies all existence. Unlike Western dualistic views of God as separate from creation, Brahman is both immanent and transcendent, both within the soul and beyond the cosmos. The Upanishadic declaration, Tat Tvam Asi, you are that, became central to his message. The self, Atman, and Brahman are not two, but one. In this vision, consciousness is not an emergent property of matter, but the very fabric of existence. To awaken to this truth is to move beyond fear and fragmentation, realizing that the same consciousness animates all beings, all worlds, and all experiences. Maya and the veil of ignorance. If Brahman is the ultimate reality, why do we experience separation, limitation, and suffering? Vivekananda answered with the Vedantic concept of Maya, the power of illusion. Maya is not mere deception, but the cosmic play of appearances through which the one appears as many. Our ignorance, avidya, makes us identify with the body and ego, forgetting our true nature as infinite consciousness. Yet, Vivekananda emphasized that Maya is not to be despised. It is also the stage upon which the soul evolves, awakening gradually to its divine essence. Through knowledge, devotion, discipline, and selfless action, the veil of Maya can be pierced, and consciousness can rediscover itself as Brahman. The paths to realization. Unlike some philosophers who restricted the path to liberation to a single discipline, Vivekananda emphasized a fourfold path of yoga. Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, for those who seek truth through inquiry and philosophy. Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, for those whose hearts long to worship and love God. Karma Yoga, the path of selfless service, for those who find liberation in action without attachment. Raja Yoga, the path of meditation and discipline, for those who train the mind to experience union directly. For Vivekananda, these were not competing paths, but complementary ones, suited to different temperaments. All, however, lead to the same realization, the awakening of consciousness to its identity with Brahman, the divine self. Universal consciousness and human unity. One of Vivekananda's greatest contributions was showing how Vedanta leads to a vision of universal unity. If every soul is divine and consciousness is one, then divisions of race, religion, and nationality are superficial. This insight fueled his commitment to social reform. He argued for the uplift of the poor, the education of women, and the elimination of caste discrimination. His message carried profound political as well as spiritual implications, inspiring Indian leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and later influencing global interfaith dialogue. For Vivekananda, to awaken to universal consciousness was not only a mystical realization, but also an ethical imperative. To see every human being as oneself, and to serve them as God in disguise. The modern relevance of Vivekananda's vision. Vivekananda's message of universal consciousness and the divine self remains as relevant today as it was a century ago. In a world fragmented by materialism, individualism, and conflict, his call to recognize the divine spark within each person offers a path to healing and unity. His vision bridges science and spirituality, east and west, contemplation and action. Consciousness, he reminds us, is not a byproduct of the brain, but the essence of existence itself, infinite and divine. Each individual is not a separate fragment, but a wave of the cosmic ocean, destined to awaken to its true nature. For seekers today, Vivekananda's life and teaching continue to inspire the pursuit of liberation, compassion, and the realization that the self within is none other than Brahman, awakening the divine self. Swami Vivekananda's legacy is a call to awaken. His teaching that every soul is potentially divine offers not only a philosophy, but a lived path to freedom. By affirming Brahman as universal consciousness and the self as its reflection, he dissolves the illusion of separateness and restores the dignity of every human life. His vision of Vishishtadvaita's cousin, Advaita for the modern world, empowers us to recognize that within each drop shines the entire ocean, that consciousness is both our essence and our destiny. To follow Vivekananda's call is to live not in fear or limitation, but in the vastness of the infinite self, awake to the truth that we are Brahman itself,